Boxing on DAZN, sponsored by William Hill. The following programme is recommended for those 16 and over, as it contains sporting violence, possible bad language, and flashing imagery.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. From the four corners of the world, to the four corners of this ring, the fight starts now!
So close.
How do you like it?
Off the shoulder. So aggressive, so focused.
Look at these two guys! Still the undisputed champion of the world!
Well, a very good afternoon, everybody. The roadshow continues on DAZN. Last week we were in Cancun, Mexico, as Shaki Foster pulled one out of the fire to stop Rocky Hernandez to retain his WBC World Super Featherweight Championship. This week, though, we're coming to you live just shy of 5,500 miles from sunny Mexico to the wonderful, but rather wet and windy, actually, this afternoon, Monte Carlo in Monaco for today's final press conference as we count down to Joe Cordina versus Edward Vasquez, the IBF World Super Featherweight Championship. Your main event this weekend, live on DAZN. I'm Jamie Ward, and I mentioned about the wonderful Monte Carlo. Who better to join me than the equally as wonderful Mr. Monte Carlo himself, Darren Barker.
Shame about the weather, though. This is more of a sunny outfit.
Well, look at the outfit. Look at you.
Not bad, is it?
Did you lose a few buttons on the way in?
Well, look, it gets very hot on my yacht, so you got
The
to
yacht?
cool down on the yacht. Yeah.
I clearly didn't get the invite, mate. Must have been choppy out there.
All right, I'll save you.
You were
a seat,
looking
mate. I'll
seasick
save
when you
a
walked
seat.
in. Darren, we must say, we always talk about the boxing fans we are.
Yeah.
Just looking at the surroundings today, we've not been to Monte Carlo since November 2019. How good does it feel to be back?
Honestly, I love this place. This is the one day on the calendar that you look forward to, and it's great to be back. It's just swamped in class, oozes, style, and I'm sure we're going to see that in the ring Saturday as well.
Well, there are 4 fights that make up the Monte Carlo Showdown card this Saturday, live on DAZN. And we begin with a rematch. The usual time of 7 p.m. the broadcast begins. UK time, 8 p.m. local time here in Monte Carlo, with a rematch and a very important fight in the career of Ramla Ali. She takes on Halissa Guzman 5 months on after heavy knockout defeat, which was a big shock. 10-2's that one for the WBA International Super Bantamweight Championship. Big respect to Ramla Ali for jumping straight back into the fire, Darren.
Yeah, massive respect. She didn't have to do it, but that shows the fight in her, the dog in her. And it's a tough ask, it really is, but she's got class, she's got skill, and she'll have to call on that Saturday night.
And that leads us in nicely to the return of Olympic bronze medalist, WBC number 3 at 147 pounds, Solomon Sissoko. Not for nearly a year now, been a bit unlucky, back-to-back injuries, but he looks for professional victory. Number 17 without loss against big punching Mexican Isaias Lucero. 12 rounds that one for the WBC Silver Welterweight Championship, leading us in to the first of 2 world title clashes. The very exciting IBF World Light Flyweight Champion, the special one Sivanati Nonshinga, defends his crown against Adrian Suriel of Mexico City, before Joe Cordina, who is targeting massive unifications, defends his IBF World Super Featherweight Championship for the first time over 12 rounds against IBF number 9 Edward the Kid Vasquez. First defence for Cordina, and we must say, Darren, absolutely zero room for error for the Welsh Wizard this weekend.
No, there's some. Look, every fight that is in front of you is your biggest. But there are some big fights looming potentially for Joe Cordina, so he can't afford to put a foot wrong here. I think he has to remain disciplined. If we see against Raymond Ford with Vasquez, if you're in his face and you want to trade with him, he'll trade with you happily. He's tough, he's strong, physically capable. So Joe, it's about being disciplined, using your speed and your ability. But you're right, you cannot put a foot wrong here, because there's some massive fights for Joe around the corner.
Well, I am hearing we are just about ready to get going here for today's final press conference. We're going to hear from all 8 fighters who are taking part in the action this Saturday, and those who helped make it all possible and make it happen, including promoter Mr. Eddie Hearn.
Hello and welcome to Monaco ahead of the return. Feels so good to be back with our good friends here at the Casino de Monte Carlo ahead of a huge night of World Championship boxing, a double World Championship header on Saturday night from Monaco, live on DAZN around the world. It's been 3 years since we graced this incredible venue, a unique environment for World Championship boxing. and so good to be back, as I said, with our friends from SBM and Casino de Monte Carlo ahead of what is, as I said, a special night on Saturday night. Of course, the main event, in my opinion, the best 130-pounder in the world, Joe Cordina, will defend his IBF world title against Edward Vasquez. A tough fight for Joe as he looks to unify the division in 2024. Elsewhere on the card, Nonshinga defending his IBF world title as well. One of the most exciting fighters on the planet, in my opinion, coming off a couple of incredible fights, one in South Africa and a Fight of the Year contender in Mexico as well. Suleiman Sissoko, France's next world champion, we believe, at 147 pounds in a great fight against Lucero. And for me, one of the fights of the night. Ramla Ali will attempt to overcome the defeat she suffered to Julissa Guzman in a fantastic female fight on the card on Saturday night in Monaco. Before we speak to the fighters, we're going to speak to a couple of important guests that we have up here. The man to my right that's been instrumental in bringing Matchroom and big-time boxing back to Monte Carlo and Monaco. Mike Wittstock, welcome. A great time for us, a great time for everybody, SBM included, to have big-time championship boxing returning to Monaco on Saturday.
Well done. Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for turning up in numbers again, like you have done for the last 10 years. Thanks to the casino, Albert, Marie, Pascal, and all the people involved to put on a tournament like this in a venue like this is not easy. And I want to thank the casino for all they do for us. World-class press conferences, they've done us proud. There's been an article written in the newspaper a couple of weeks ago that my good boxing friends and supporters have asked me to respond to. And I thought about it, and I thought the best way to respond to it is to explain how boxing started here. In 2013, His Serene Highness Prince Albert gave us the blessing and his backing to start boxing here. It was 10 years ago that we had our first tournament here. Jean-Louis Mazarel, Frederick Darnay, and Pauline Loeb came on board, along with the backing of the SVM Financial Group, and we kicked off boxing. Our first promoter was Rodney Berman of Golden Gloves, who had the foresight to bring Triple G, Gennady Golovkin, to Monaco. Gennady kick-started his career off here. It culminated with a world title fight with Martin Murray, and he eventually went to America to become a legend and a world and household name in boxing. And Gennady is in constant contact with me. His heart is deeply involved with Monaco. He loves the place. To get boxing going, we had a big problem. We hadn't had boxing here for many, many years. And I was lucky to have my Russian friend Boris Ivanov, Mr. Gotcha, and a couple other people that funded me and bought tickets for the first tournament that I could take and go and give out to people to make sure that the stadium was full. So I've got to thank these guys. And you know, it's always a pleasure to come back and see what's going on. Jean-Louis Mazarel asked us to move boxing to another level. And that's why my good friend Eddie Hearns is sitting here. He comes from a family that has been involved in boxing for many years. Barry's a household name, his father. What I like about Matchroom, they've got a young team there. They are the biggest and best promoters in the world. And Eddie, thank you very much for coming on board with us here, and it's always nice to see you.
Thank you.
Monaco, Monaco has one thing that it's really, really good at. It's building bridges between other nations and other peoples. And I think that boxing has latched onto that, and looking at the bill today, you'll see we're part of that. So I think we've gonna come a long way with the boxing. There's been a lot of support and good people that have helped us. And Eddie, thank you very much for all you've done. You, Frank, it's a privilege to deal with you guys. And I wish the boxers, on behalf of Albert, all the boxers and the managers. He would love you to enjoy yourself here. Best of luck in the fights, and hope to see you here again. And as to end off with, I would like to just mention that one of the big driving forces and a big supporter and friend of mine was Jean-Louis Mazarel, who passed away 2 months ago. I'm sure Jean-Louis is up in the big ring in the sky, watching us from the ring there, and he's very proud of what he sees here. To end up with, I'll just mention what Michael Buff always said: let's get ready to rumble on Saturday.
Thank you, Mike. I would have a round of applause. You see, you got a round of applause. I didn't get a round of applause. You're very popular here, you know. But I must echo what you said about Jean-Louis Mazarel. I mean, one of the driving forces behind bringing us to Monaco, and one of the classiest, most elegant men I've ever met. So our thoughts with Jean-Louis Mazarel and his family, may he rest in peace. As we go on to the Casino de Monte Carlo, SBM, as I said, a truly unique venue, pure class. I hope you've all got your tuxedos and gowns ready for a top night on Saturday night. I'd like to pass over to Rudy Tarditi to say a few words on behalf of the Casino de Monte Carlo.
Yes, I want to say it's very important for us to receive an event like that. It's very important for the picture of the casino and of the SBM in the world. And so we are very happy. Welcome to the event. Thank you.
Thank you, Rudy. And all these international events only possible with a commission that can take us forward. Lauren Pons, welcome back. Good to see you. I've seen you around the world, but great to see you here in Monaco.
Thank you.
And so refreshing and exciting, I guess, for you as well to bring World Championship boxing back to Monaco.
Absolutely. So first, I would like to thank the Principality of Monaco, la Société des Bains de Mer, and to make this prestigious event happen in Monaco. Of course, it's a great pleasure, Eddie, to see you back in Principality of Monaco. For me, you are one of the most, I could say, the most prestigious and important boxing promoter in the world. And it's an honor for me to welcome you in Monaco again. Saturday night, you will have the opportunity to attend an amazing boxing event with 4 titles, 8 high-level and powerful boxers. Believe me, on Saturday night, Monaco will be the worldwide capital of boxing. And now, I would like to say just good luck, bonne chance to all the boxers. May the best one win. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lauren. Right, let's go on to the fights. As Lauren said, 4 fantastic championship fights on Saturday night. And we kick off with, as I said, a fight that we cannot wait to see, the rematch between Ramla Ali and Luisa Guzman. Ramla, we'll start with you. Welcome. This is a fight that's got the whole world talking. I know you've been buried away in camp, keeping yourself just focused, but there is a lot of people excited, a lot of people giving you tremendous props for jumping straight back in the rematch. I know you're not after that, you're just after a good performance on Saturday, but a big moment for you and exciting to be involved in such a huge fight for your career.
Oh, yeah. It is, it's a huge fight for me, but you know, it's like you said, a lot of people are looking in and saying, you know, why are you jumping straight back into this rematch? Like I was speaking to Steve Bunce earlier, he was giving me props for jumping straight in. But, you know, like with me, my whole life has sort of been riddled with challenges. Like, as everybody knows, my backstory has been, you know, talked about to death. And, you know, I've had challenges in my personal life and I've had challenges in my sporting life. And you've just got to sort of accept those challenges, basically. And I was also telling Steve this as well. I was watching a movie the other day. I think it was like a baseball type movie. And there was like this famous quote that says, never let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. So you can never let fear keep you from doing what you want to do and to keep you from achieving your dreams and your goals, basically.
Very nice quote, and I get it as well. And people remember or forget, should I say, from that fight, for a large portion of the fight, you were controlling the fight, you were boxing well. We know you like to get involved, you like to have a bit of a war, which was good for Guzman in the fight as well. Is this fight about staying disciplined, listening to Manny and the team? We know there's going to be tough moments in the fight again, but prepared to do whatever it takes on Saturday.
Yeah, like all fights that I've had have been, in my opinion, I mean, people might not necessarily think it's tough, but all fights that I've had have been tough. Like, I train equally as hard for my pro debut as I did for this camp. So I consider every person in front of me as a challenge. And, you know, I always try to stay disciplined. And yeah, you know, I like to get involved. I like to have a bit of a tear up. Who doesn't? You know, why do we box in the first place? But yeah, it's about, you know, staying disciplined, sticking to the game plan, listening to Manny as much as I've probably given him more grey hairs this camp than I've ever done. And I know from that, you know, it'll be a great day on Saturday.
Well, look forward to seeing you back in the ring. Julissa Guzman, welcome. Last time out was an incredible performance. You gained a lot of fans and plaudits around the world. Fully confident going into this fight? I've heard you say that you expect to win faster this time on Saturday.
En primer lugar, bienvenida, Julissa. Obviamente, la última vez que conseguiste la victoria, ganaste muchos fans, no solamente que vieron esto en la noche, pero también por todo el mundo. Pero lo que has dicho ahora mismo es que vas a ganar aún más rápido. ¿Así lo crees para el sábado?
Sí, primero que nada, estoy muy contenta por esta nueva pelea. Hoy es diferente. Vengo a defender lo que es mío. No vengo de retadora, entonces eso hace una pelea muy difícil para Rambla. Voy a morir en raya, siempre lo he dicho. Sé que vas a correr, sé que lo harás, pero yo estoy dispuesta a volar arriba del ring con tal de cumplir lo prometido, que es noquearte de nuevo. ¡Viva México!
Yes, so first and foremost, I want to say thank you very much. It's great to have, you know, another opportunity to have a fight. This is slightly different now. This is different because I'm defending what's mine. I'm no longer the challenger. And this is going to make it even more difficult for Ramla because I know that you're going to run and I'll be ready to fly at you in the ring. And I promise, and I'm going to make good on my promise of knocking you out. Viva Mexico.
And finally, Julissa, obviously, you know that you carry the power. And this fight for you, a very important fight for your career. If you come through Ramla Ali, some huge fights out there in the division, maybe Erica Cruz, maybe even up at featherweight with Amanda Serrano, but all your focus is on Saturday night.
Sí, por último, Julissa, sabemos el poder que tienes, pero también una victoria el sábado por la noche tendrá un impacto muy grande en tu carrera si llegas a ganarle a Ramla Ali. Hay grandes peleas en la división. Erika Cruz es una posibilidad también, quizás subir de división y enfrentarte a Amanda Serrano, pero totalmente enfocada en la pelea del sábado.
Sí, primeramente pasar ese compromiso que, como lo vuelvo a repetir, yo creo que esa decisión va a ser a favor mía. Pasando ese compromiso yo estoy dispuesta a lo que venga, pelear con las mejores, con tal de ser la mejor.
Yes, so first, you know, I have to make good on this promise and come through this, what I've got to do on Saturday. But as I repeat what I've said before in previous interviews, that the decision to take this rematch will go in my favor. And then following on from this fight, I want to face the best. I want to face the best in the divisions because I want to be the best.
Well, thank you very much, Julissa and Ramla. Incredible fight to open the action on Saturday night. Now, if you haven't had an opportunity to watch Noshinga in action, and we'll start with Noshinga as a world champion. This young man is, in my opinion, pound for pound, one of the most exciting fighters on the planet. If you had the opportunity to watch him in Mexico in one of the best fights I've seen of the year, and then returning back to South Africa as well, welcome. This time Monaco, you're fighting all over the world. You're fast becoming fight fans' favorite fighter, and a very unique experience for you to fight internationally on Saturday.
First of all, greetings to you all. You all guys look great and beautiful today. To you, Mr. Eddie, thank you so much for granting me such opportunities. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the fight day. I've been working hard. I've been pushing myself. I've worked so hard with my team back at home. I'm glad to be here. What I can say is it just feels good to be here. And I also believe that it takes a special person to achieve such greatness.
Last time you fought a Mexican, it was unbelievable, incredible. And they're telling me now that this fight will be a similar kind of fight. If that is the case, everybody in the casino on Saturday, everybody watching around the world on DAZN are in for a treat.
You know, what I can say is I'm going to get inside the square and do what I know, nothing less, nothing more. And I'm expecting a good, clean fight. We did what we did back in Mexico. So I'm just used to big stages now. And yeah, each and everyone think I don't have an experience, but yeah, the ability that I have to just get inside the ring and deliver and do the job, it makes me like a special person indeed. So yeah, I'm just expecting a good clean fight, and I want to give like the people of Monaco the great show that they will never forget again, just like we did in Mexico.
Well, the special one, IBF champion Noshinga, and we go back to the Mexican part of the table. Adrian, welcome. A big opportunity for you in Mexico. Our friends, our colleagues talking about this fight will be very special on Saturday.
Adrián, en primer lugar, bienvenido. Una gran oportunidad para ti. Nuestros amigos en México están muy pendientes de la pelea y piensan que va a ser una noche muy especial este sábado.
Claro que sí, agradezco la oportunidad, agradezco a todo México y estoy comprometido y dispuesto a llevarles ese cinturón a casa.
Yes, so I have to say thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you, Mexico, for the opportunity. I'm completely committed to getting this victory and taking that belt home to Mexico.
You saw last Saturday Rocky Hernandez come within 20 seconds of another Mexican world champion. You're fully confident that on Saturday night, Mexico will have a new world champion.
Sí, viste un paisano, Rocky Hernández, estar solamente 20 segundos de convertirse en campeón del mundo. Pero tú estás convencido de que el sábado México va a tener un nuevo campeón del mundo.
Claro que sí, claro, vi la pelea y creo que tenemos mucha hambre de ganar. Para ganarme necesita matarme, para matarme tiene que estar dispuesto a morir también, así es que el único victorioso ese día voy a ser yo.
Yeah, I saw that fight, and I think it shows you the hunger that we've got. I need to almost die to win this belt, and he has to also be prepared to do the same if he wants to get the victory, but it will be me who will be getting it.
Well, good luck between a tremendous fight on Saturday. Noshinga against Curiel, South Africa against Mexico for the IBF world title. Now, one of France's top pound-for-pound fighters, a man that I believe will go on and challenge for the world title at 147 pounds. Suleiman Sissoko, welcome to you and Team 258, etc. Not far to travel for this one. We've seen you on Canelo Alvarez cards. We've seen you boxing all around the world. Pretty special to be involved in a big fight in Monaco.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very happy to be here. Like I say, Monaco is, I feel like I'm at home. So yeah, we had a very good camp. We've been working very hard, and I can't wait to get back in the ring on Saturday night.
A good opponent in Lucero, going to be all action. And the key for you now, momentum and activity. We know it's been a sort of up and down 12 to 18 months with injuries, etc. But a good win on Saturday night and move forward to some mega fights in 2024.
Yeah, definitely. We are looking forward for that, for the big fight, for the title fight. So yeah, Lucero is a good fighter. We know the Mexican fighter, they are very stiff. So yeah, can't wait to be in the ring, to share the ring with him and then move forward for the world title.
Thank you, Sully. Isaiah Lucero, welcome. You're in good company there with lots of Mexican fighters, all hungry for big performances on Saturday night.
Bienvenido, Isaías. Estás en buena compañía ahí con tus paisanos. Hay mucho hambre allí para ganar la pelea y tener una buena noche de sábado.
Así es. Le quiero dar gracias por esta oportunidad y sí, tengo mucha hambre de ganar, de triunfar, porque esta experiencia me están gustando y venimos. Yo sé que va a ser una pelea complicada porque tiene mucha pelea amateur, pero no imposible para ganar.
Yes, firstly, I have to say thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, there's lots of hunger to get that win, to get that triumph. I'm really enjoying this experience, so I want to go through and get the victory. I understand it won't be difficult, or it will be difficult, because I'm facing someone who has great amateur pedigree, but I feel that we're going into this fight, and I want to do my best.
Well, Suleiman Sissoko against Lucero on Saturday night, WBC Silver Welterweight Championship. We go on to the main event. Fantastic fight between, as I said, in my opinion and many's opinion, the top 130-pounder in the world, Joe Cordina, against Edward Vasquez. I must say that when O'Shaquie Foster won or defended his world title in Mexico last week, I said to him, you versus Cordina next for a unification. And he said he's got to get past Edward Vasquez. I know him, I spar with him, and this is a tough, what he called a 50-50 fight. Joe Cordina looking at the big unifications next year, the stadium fights, but the man to my left with a lifelong dream with his father to become world champion gets that opportunity on Saturday night. Edward, welcome. I've been very impressed with your interviews, calm, collected, focused, confident ahead of a lifelong dream on Saturday night.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very thankful for the opportunity to Matchroom, Lou DiBella, just DAZN, everybody that has, a part in this. I appreciate everyone for the opportunity. But yeah, man, I feel like this is, I feel like everyone has their time, and I feel like this is my time. I'm here for a reason. I'm very blessed to be here. I'm ready, I'm prepared, and if you have looked at my career, studied my career at all, I've been the challenger almost every time, and I've come on top every time, except for that one bullshit call, and you know what I'm talking about. But if that doesn't happen again and it goes to the scorecards, I'm going to pull this off, and I'm here to pull the upset, and I'm just ready to hand over another, Texas ass whooping, and just keep doing what we do.
Yeah, Joe Cordina, obviously, I guess people are looking at what might be next. He said you've got to be very special to beat him. I think you said you called him cocky or arrogant or whatever it was, but do you think he's overlooking you in this fight?
I hope he is. If he's, at the end of the day, I don't care how he's looking at it. I just want him to be 100% ready, because I don't want to hear any excuses. Every time I beat these guys that I'm supposed to lose to, there's always some bullshit excuse that comes out. Training camp was bad, my coach was bad or something. I didn't feel good, weight cut was bad. I don't want to hear any of that. I'm 100% ready. We had all the time to get ready for this fight, so come Saturday night, we'll see who's the best man.
I know you won't give the tactics away, but what do you do to beat Joe Cordina? We know that he can punch. You saw that in the Ogawa fight. We know that he can bite down on the gum shield. You saw that in the Rakimov fight as well, a very all-rounded fighter. Do you have to take him to the trenches in Monaco on Saturday night?
I just got to do me, man. I got to do me and listen to my coach, listen to my team, and stick to the game plan. He's got a lot of good attributes, but he's never been in there with someone like me, and he's going to find out.
Joe, welcome. Talking a good game. This man to my left, it's good to see. I know you've boxed in Monaco before. It's a unique environment. People talking about what might be next, but certainly in for a real fight on Saturday.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank Michael, Rudy, Eddie, Matchroom, DAZN for having me back in Monaco. It was, I think, 4 years since I boxed here last, 2019. So yeah, it's a special place, got a special place in my heart. So, but yeah, going to Edward, he's a good fighter. I've never once disrespected him. I'm taking this very seriously. Don't worry, like I seen an interview, he said that he thinks I'm taking him lightly. Trust me. I've never took a journeyman lightly, never mind a world title fight. This is a fight that potentially going to set up my future, and my kids' future. I got 3 kids to look after. So every time it gets tough, I think of my kids. So yeah, it's a very good fighter, and I know he's going to put it all on the line, and I'm willing to do the same too.
You've showed so much in the last 2 fights, particularly people who might have questioned your power. You deliver a knockout of the year. People that might have questioned if you were tough enough. You delivered in a war, in a fight of the year against Rakimov. What sort of fight are you expecting against this man?
Listen, he's going to bring it. It's a big opportunity for him, and he's a good fighter. I've watched the fight against Ray Ford. I thought he probably should have had it. So yeah, it's he's going to bring the game. He's going to bring the heat. But I'm ready to match whatever he brings. And like you said, no one said I had power. Then I knocked out Ogawa. Then they said, oh, he can only look pretty, he can only do this, then I'm sure I can dig down. Now, if you come into the gym and see how I train and how I spar and everything else, I do that on a daily. But that's the only fight in my pro career that I've had to get out of first gear, is that Rakhimov fight. So, yeah, like he said, me saying you got to be special to beat me, he's saying I'm cocky. It's not cocky. It's the only thing is I believe in my ability, and I've done it time after time as a pro, and I've done it all through my amateur career. 180 odd amateur fights. My man sitting next to me to my right, I've known him since 2009, Solid Sissoko. We've been all around the world together, and I've beat some great fighters, and people has won Olympic medals, world medals. I know it's pro boxing, but it ain't a fluke. It's not a fluke. It's I'm the real deal, and I believe in my ability, and that's all it is, really.
And finally, 4 years ago, you were here on the undercard. I think you boxed first. It was a great win against Monaco. This time, we know you're only allowed, I don't know, 30 tickets for the event. You got over 100 people just flying out to stand outside the casino on Saturday night and have a bit of food and probably watch live on DAZN, waiting for you to finish and come out and join them. Yeah, well, I'm hoping Michael give me a few more tickets so they can get in. But yeah, a lot of them, I told them not to book until I find out the scenario with the tickets, but they booked anyway. And then, yeah, it is what it is. They've come over, they're going to support, they'll probably be in the Irish bar, wait for me to get out. But first and foremost, I got to get the job done on Saturday, and I know it's going to be a tough fight, and I'm willing to do everything. And like I said, I got 3 kids to provide for, and without me winning on Saturday, them big fights and them big money fights ain't there for me. So I'm going to do everything that is possibly to do on Saturday to get that win. Well, tremendous fight. Joe Cordina against Edward Vasquez for the IBF Super Featherweight World Championship, part of a World Championship doubleheader. As we said, Nonshinga defending his World Championship against Curiel. Suleiman Sissoko defending the WBC silver title against Lucero. And a fantastic rematch as Ramla Ali faces off against Julissa Guzman. Again, thank you to Mike Whitstock, to Rudy, to Lauren Pons, to everybody here in Monaco, the Casino de Monte Carlo, SBM. We are delighted to be back for a blockbuster event on Saturday, live and exclusive on DAZN around the world. We're going to face off the fighters now, and then they'll be available to the worldwide media here. And we'll see you for the weigh-in tomorrow and a great night of boxing on Saturday. Thank you.
Well, as Eddie just said there, Darren, Joe, of course, boxed here in Monte Carlo in 2019. I mean, look what he's gone on to achieve since then. Kenichi Ogawa, Rakhimov, 2-time world champion. Bearing in mind he's had frustration with injuries. He's not done too badly, has he?
Incredible. I've said this time and time again. The Ogawa knockout is the knockout I've watched most. I must have watched it near on 1,000 times. It's perfection. The way he sets the trap, and you're right, the confidence of this man must be sky high to then have a absolute battle, a shootout with Rakhimov, a feared challenger, to then go and beat him in the fashion that he did, showing hearts and guts that you can't buy, you can't train for. You've either got that or you haven't. So there's so many boxes been ticked for Cordina. You heard him talk, mentioning Sissoko there, where they've both had that amateur pedigree. That elevates you. It gives you great foundations to build from. So confidence is already there. But to do what he's done is so impressive. And you know, I'm a big fan of Joe Cordina, not just because of the affiliation with Tony Sims, etc., just because he's so exciting to watch. There's so much there. But look, let's get this right. Edward Vasquez is a serious challenger. Could have easily got the nod against Raymond Ford, shown if you stand in front of him and you trade bombs, he's happy to trade with you. And I think it's down to Joe to show that superior skill set, be disciplined and box, because Vasquez, he's talking very confidently there. He strikes me as someone who's not just talking, you know, he believes in what he's saying, and it sets up a beautiful, entertaining main event Saturday night.
Well, this is our opener on Saturday night, the rematch between Julissa Guzman and Ramla Ali. Ramla saying that fear's not going to stop her doing what she loves, which is boxing, but Guzman not holding back and promising another knockout, Darren.
So confident. Look at her. She's extremely confident, Guzman, and you can understand why. It was a shattering, devastating knockout from this woman here. Thunderous shot. Huge credit to Ramla Ali for taking this rematch. Promises to be a cracking contest.
How important is this mental battle? I mean, Julissa Guzman clearly trying to enforce that on Ramla Ali here at the press conference. Ramla not looking too bothered though at this stage.
But it can't get any worse. The worst thing has happened already. So all of this is nonsense, really. It is trying to plant a seed in Ramla Ali, but the worst things happen. She has to overcome that Saturday night.
She will have learnt so much. See, if she can get through this, she'll be in arguably maybe a better position than she would have been before the fight.
Yeah, I think so.
In terms of mental learning.
Yeah, absolutely. And really looking forward to seeing Sissoko back in action. I expect a lot from this man. I think he's a very, very good fighter, Jamie.
Good fight, this.
Yeah, it is a really good fight. In full flow, Sissoko's a very good fighter to watch. Very quick. The variation with his shots is so eye-catching, pleasing. So I just want to see him really put his foot on the gas and entertain. Very entertaining fight this, like you say.
And another fighter who's not had a lot of luck, back-to-back injuries. He was telling me yesterday at the media day, just can't wait to get back in there. I imagine his knuckles will be pretty itchy right now.
Oh, absolutely. He's a man that's used to fighting regularly. That amateur pedigree that we just touched on a moment ago, you're fighting all the time. So he just wants to be busy. He wants to climb up those rankings, defend this title and push on to bigger and better things.
Well, here is our chief support on the first of two world title fights, Sivanati Nonshinga versus Adrian Suriel. Darren, when he won that belt last year in Mexico, Nonshinga, the fight was incredible, wasn't it? And he has, you know, big plans to be undisputed in this light flyweight division. What do you see in terms of potential?
Well, I believe he can go on and do that. I think he's an exceptional fighter. He showed winning the title against Flores. He can tough it out, he can get stuck in, and then in his first defense, he showed he can box and be disciplined. He's got it all. Such a special fighter, a very, very good fighter.
And if you haven't seen the clip on our YouTube, his trainer, Colin Nathan, go and check that out on YouTube, because the corner work that night was like something out of a film, wasn't it?
It was brilliant, and that sets it all up nicely for this main event. Brilliant fight. We get to see the world champion, two-time world champion, Joe Cordina, in with Edward Vasquez, who is trying to change his life and fulfill a dream.
It isn't one he's taken lightly. Joe Cordina keeps saying that, despite Edward Vasquez trying to get that out of him, that perhaps he is overlooking him. That's obviously been his tactic heading into this one, but it's one that Joe says he wants to pass with flying colours. Why is that, Darren?
Because he's looked so good last time out, last two times out. Brilliant knockout against Agawa, war against Rakhimov, and he wants to follow that up. He wants everybody in this division and around the division to take note. Such a good fight, it really is. See an advantage when it comes to height for Joe Cordina. Respect shown there, but I'm telling you now, having seen Vasquez fight, knowing that Joe doesn't mind getting stuck in, it promises to be fireworks Saturday night.
Well, that your main event on Saturday night. Joe Cordina defends his IBF World Super Featherweight Championship for the first time since becoming a two-time champion against Edward Vasquez. But the action doesn't stop this Saturday on DAZN. We have a massive rematch to look forward to in Dublin, November 25th.
Dublin, Ireland. This is the moment of truth, and there's no turning back.
She wanted to make history here in her country.
Someone who refuses to lose.
Chantel Cameron is coming for everything.
So much at stake here tonight too. Undisputed world champion. Cameron Taylor. This is a back and forth fight. Serious pressure. Tremendous action all the way through the contest. Cameron. It's her first professional defeat for Katie Taylor.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Looking forward to the rematch.
It was a very close fight. There's an immediate rematch clause.
I'm always willing to do whatever I have to take to come out with a win. This is a fight that I know I can win. I'm in this sport to actually make history. The respect goes out the window.
I got one of them.
Darren's is a bit older. Darren's is a bit older, a bit more wrinkled. Joe, you wrapped up for the press conference here today, and in terms of the mindset right now, because you're here to handle business. So just talk us through how you're feeling, because Vasquez keeps talking about you overlooking him and trying to get an edge with that. But what's in your mind? Because you're clearly here to handle business, as I say.
Listen, I don't know why he thinks I'm overlooking him, but it's not the case whatsoever. I've never overlooked a journeyman, never mind a world title fight. I've got 3 kids to provide for and put food on the table. And at this present moment, I haven't earned life-changing money or money to set them up for the future. I'm earning okay money and decent money, but listen, I'm looking to push on and set them up for life and break the cycle in my family. No one have ever done what I've done or achieved what I've achieved. So there's a lot of weight on my shoulders, and I don't mind it. I embrace it. But listen, I've trained very, very hard. Darren, I tell you, he's with Tony for all his career. He knows the shape that Tony gets you in. I'm in great shape. I've done everything there's possible to do. I've done all my triangles, I've done all my steps, all my track, all my hill sprints. I've done it all my sparring. I've done everything. So, and when it gets tough in there, all I do is think about my kids and how am I going to provide. So, yeah, that's my motivation. And he's saying I'm cocky because I say you got to be special to beat me. Well, you have got to be special to beat me because I've proved it time and time again as a pro, as an amateur. I had 180 odd amateur fights. I think I lost about 30, but the 30 odd that beat me were very special fighters and only at the top level beat me. So it's not a fluke what I've done. I've achieved everything there's possibly to achieve in the sport of boxing, from amateur to pro. So it's not a fluke, and I believe my ability. That's it.
And despite coming from a cauldron of noise for the last 2 fights in Cardiff, they've been incredible. Ogawa into Rakimov. Like you say, you've done everything you can in the sport, and that includes boxing all around the world in leisure centres. Is that why the atmosphere isn't something that will bother you on Saturday?
Yeah, listen, believe me, the people I got coming over, there's about 30 odd people that got tickets. But I'm going to try and stick it on Michael for a couple more, see if anyone else can.
Don't ask, don't get.
Yeah, exactly that. Just be cheeky with it. But the people that I got coming, they're a rowdy bunch, and with a drink down them as well, it'd be 10 times louder. So yeah, it's not going to be quiet in there. Put it that way.
Your confidence must be through the roof right now. Look, with the amateur background that you've got, like you said, all those fights, 180 fights, and then to go on and be a two-time world champion, but not just that, the fashion in which you've done it, because you've ticked boxes there. You've got that brutal knockout against Ogawa, and then you've had the war against Rakimov. You can't teach those things, really. You can't teach power, and you can't teach guts and courage. Where is your confidence right now, and where can it go to another level already?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, yeah, I've knockout one of the knockouts of the year, one of the fights of the year. So, and I've showed 2 different ways that I can fight and to win world titles in doing them in them 2 different ways. So, yeah, my confidence is mad at the minute, and it's through the roof. I'm going into the gym. I'm enjoying my training. I'm walking in the gym, feeling like a world champion, feeling like everyone in the gym wants to watch you train and watch you spar and this and which they do. So, yeah, I got confidence, and like I said, I believe in my ability. And with them 180 odd amateur fights, I've learned so much along the way. And Solly Sissoko, I've known him since like 2008, 2009, and we've been very close through our amateur careers. And he's seen the fighters I've faced and beat, and the tournaments we've went to and we've had to come up against, and we've been through a whole tournament together, winning back to back to back to back. So he knows, but obviously Edward Vasquez don't know. But you'll soon find out on Saturday.
Final one, Joe, before we let you go. What will he find out on Saturday? What's your final prediction from yourself?
That I'm not the same as everyone else, and like I said, you have to be special to beat me. And like he's coming up from featherweights. He's coming to super feather. He's small. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes it can play into a fighter's hands. Him being small and me being a taller guy, but I can fight, I can box, and I can punch. So every time he comes in, he's going to get hit, and it's going to be clean and it's going to be hard. Then if he wants to fight, I don't mind, because I'm a bigger fella, and as the rounds go on, it's going to wear him out and it's going to get to him, and I believe that I'll get the win, no doubt.
Well, Joe, we can't wait. Wish you the best of luck. There's a history of people getting left hanging on this platform, so I made sure to get the fist bump in there. Reference Darren Barker, Lewis Ritson. Have a look at that one if you don't know about it. There is a brilliant schedule coming up on DAZN. We, of course, start this weekend with the brilliant fight between Joe Cordina and Edward Vasquez before we head to Newcastle next week. Big fight in Dublin just after Diego Pacheco in Los Angeles, of course. Back to Dublin for Chantel Cameron versus Katie Taylor too. And there you go, you can see in vision now. Before we head north to Belfast and Michael Conlon versus Jordan Gill into San Francisco.
Nobody does it.
Eddie Hearn just interrupted. We don't even know he's meant to be in yet.
Patting himself on his back right now.
Massive pat on the back to himself. Devin Haney versus Regis Prograis. Eddie, give it a rest, mate. December 9th. I'm trying to plug the schedule here and he's ruining it. He's ruining it. December 9th, Haney Prograis. December 16th, Sonny Edwards versus Bam Rodriguez in that huge flyweight unification. Eddie, at the minute, brilliant singing, by the way.
Thank you.
At the minute, that's the last date in the schedule. But with recent news What can you tell us about that December 23?
Well, listen,
date?
AJ's ready to go December 23rd. I mean, he's made that clear to us. He's got this thing in his head about fighting 3 times in the year. But I explained to him that his first fight was on April 1st. So really, as long as he fights before April 1st, 2024, that's 3 fights in a year. But he's got it in his head that it's the calendar year. So he really wants to fight in December. So we'll have to see. Obviously, there's a lot going on at the moment. Wilder, maybe even Ngannou. Literally, we're on the phone non-stop trying to see if we do go December 23. Obviously, Conor Benn against Chris Eubank is also a priority. That looks like potentially January 27th. But yeah, there is a chance AJ would go 23. And if we could stick AJ on 23 after that schedule, then at that point, you must consider a knighthood for myself.
What was the song you were singing? Nobody does it better.
Nobody does it better. Anyway.
It's a walking meme, isn't he?
You can imagine literally people watching.
Getting cut, no context. I know, innit? I know. Ed, back in Monte Carlo, I was just saying to Darren, we've not been here for nearly 4 years now. This is the 4th show we've done here. How good does it feel to be back?
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, it's a really unique event. I mean, and I think it'll work in Joe's favour that he's boxed here before, because it's 300 people in tuxedos with royalty and high rollers, and it's difficult to go out. I remember when Derek Chisora boxed Caballero here, and Caballero really schooled him. I think you got told off that day because you were scoring it, weren't you? And
I got in a lot of trouble with Del.
Yeah, and he did lose that fight comfortably, and he just couldn't get himself going in the fight. I think a lot of these fights on the card, I don't think they'll have a problem getting themselves going, but it is a unique environment. Great to be back, and a really good fight card. You know, an international fight card and a couple of massive fights. I mean, you just saw the face-off there between Guzman and Ramla Ali. I mean, I was scared. I mean, I don't know about you, but, like, you know, that is such... She deserves so much credit for taking that rematch. It's a super, super tough fight. Lucero against Sissoko, good fight. Honestly, look out for Noshinga against Ariel. That is going to be an absolute war in there. And I think Joe Cordina's got a tough night against Edward Vasquez.
Yeah, our nerves for you, when you go into a fight like this, Cordina versus Vasquez, this is, for me, exactly what a banana skin is. You've got those huge fights potentially in line for Joe Cordina. How is it for you when you sit there and you watch it knowing that those big fights are looming, but you've got someone like Vasquez who really has a chance to change his life?
I think, you know, when it's someone like Joe, special, you are a lot more relaxed because you know he has the ability. I mean, one of the things with Joe, people questioned his punch power. He delivered a knockout of the year. People said, yeah, but how tough is he? And then he has that war against Rakimov, and he's ticking every box. So, but Vasquez, you know, we saw him fight Ray Ford. A lot of people felt he won that fight. Ray Ford is, I think, potentially now with Lee Wood moving up, one of the best 126-pounders in the world. Vasquez is a small super feather. You know, Joe, you see, is a, you know, becoming a decent size at 130 pounds now. But, you know, as I said, when I spoke to O'Shaki Foster, he said this kid is a beast, Vasquez. He said he's going to give Cordina all he can handle next week. I think it'll be a tremendous fight, but I think Joe wins the fight on points or by late stoppage. But like I said, I think it'll be a fight full of action.
Eddie, we didn't want to talk to Joe about what's next. Of course, full focus on Vasquez, very much in fight mode now, but we can ask you those questions. And I think when you look at one super featherweight title clash in Mexico, a great fight between Shaki Foster as well and Rocky Hernandez, it's almost as if you lined these two up perfectly a week apart, these two fights.
Yeah, and I actually thought Rocky Hernandez would win last week, and he was 25 seconds away from doing it. But O'Shaki Foster, a class act, very good fighter. But makes sense to try and unify the division. Everyone should try and do it. O'Shaki Foster is probably the easiest fight to make amongst the other champions. We could do that fight in America. We could do it back in Cardiff. People talk about the Lee Wood fight and stuff like that. I think Joe makes it quite clear in every interview and always tells me he wants the most amount of money available for the biggest fights out there.
And an AP watch
yeah,
now,
exactly.
Well,
it was a Rolex. Yeah. He took me into a thing. Then he wanted a Patek Philippe. Now he wants an AP. I ain't even bought him one yet. He's got to sign a new contract first. He's only got one fight left after this. So, but look, Joe has established himself, for me, top one. Like, he's the man of the division. And I truly believe that he can win every belt in the division.
That's the plan.
Yeah, I do. But we've got to get those fights. You know, everyone's got the estimation of the value that they have. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. You know, O'Shaki Foster might have his number that he wants to earn for a Joe Cordina fight. You can't just make those numbers up. It's a mathematic calculation that works through numbers generated in a fight. If we can make that work for Joe and we can make that work for Foster, I think that is the fight to make. But he must come through Saturday. And you know, Darren's right about banana skins. A banana skin is Banana Skinny's not someone that can't win the fight. Vasquez can win the fight if Joe doesn't perform. So he's got to be sharp, he's got to be, spiteful, and he's got to be ready for a kid that's hungry, really hungry, to try and become world champion.
We heard you in Liverpool at the press conference say you want your fights to be entertaining fights. I'm a big fan of Sulaiman Sissoko, but I always feel there's something a little bit more that he could give. Do you want to see him look very explosive?
I think that Sissoko is sometimes he has quite a methodical style. Sometimes has that massive amateur pedigree translating to the pros, quite stand-up, quite neat. Lucero will bring the dog out in him, hopefully, because we have 3 Mexicans there in Guzman, in Lucero and Ariel, who will all come to fight. And that's one of the reasons we put them on the card. So, for me, if you're not always the most entertaining fighter style-wise, you have to match them accordingly to get the best out of them. And I think we've done that with Lucero, someone that will come forward, someone that will try and put the pressure on him and will make him stand and fight at times. And I think, Sissoko is there or thereabouts from a big fight in the division, but could do with looking good on Saturday.
Eddie, in terms of Ramla, we spoke about her just as you joined, and it's been an interesting one, the approach she's made. Mentally, talking about, especially fear is not going to stop her from doing the sport she loves, which is boxing, but she doesn't seemingly want credit for jumping back into the fight. How did the conversations go between you and Ramla about this fight?
Every fighter in the changing rooms after, when they've got a rematch call, she was champion going into the fight. She's like, I know I can beat her. You have to make that fight straight away. Now, as the weeks and days pass, people start thinking about it. Should we have a little warm-up first? Her mind didn't change. From the moment she got back in the changing room to 2 or 3 weeks later, it was just, I want the rematch. Don't forget as well, she was winning the fight, up until maybe a round or 2 before. And she can outbox Guzman. But the danger in this fight is more the confidence that Guzman has to hurt her. So,
cold as ice, Guzman.
Yeah, I mean, look, listen, when she kissed her fists there and put them under Ramla Ali's jaw.
How were you feeling?
I thought to myself, oh my God. I mean, I was petrified myself. But I don't think Ramla is a fighter. I mean, you've been there. Like, that's not really going to put you on edge.
The worst things already happened.
Yeah.
None of that. The worst things happened.
Yeah.
She'll just be desperate for the first bell, I think.
But I think at the end of the day, Ramla wins this fight if she stays disciplined, if she boxes. She has the ability and the skill to actually box rings around Guzman. But Guzman, this time, from the first bell, is going to be walking forward trying to knock her out. Last time she did, but she took her time to get into the fight. This time, it's going to be 10 2-minute rounds of relentless pressure from Guzman. And she knows if she can beat her this time, she's going to fight Cruz. She could fight, I don't know, she's not at featherweight, but, you've got the Serranos and the Baumgartners and, all these mega names that they're chasing. And she's a very entertaining fighter. But, I know Ramla says she doesn't want the props of taking a rematch. She should get the props for taking a rematch because she didn't have to. But at the end of the day, if you can't beat Guzman, can you go on and beat the very best in the division and win world titles? Maybe not. But Guzman has something that not all female fighters have, which is power. She has one-punch knockout power. And that is going to be a threat on Saturday night.
This is why we love it. All the questions, of course, will be answered on DAZN this Saturday night. That concludes today's press conference. We'll be back tomorrow for the official weigh-in. That's 1 p.m. local time from the Casino de Monte Carlo here in Monaco, midday UK time. From myself, Jamie Ward, Darren Barker and promoter Eddie Hearn. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon.